Um, I guess not totally, but yeah, I do depend on other people for happiness. Because if I have been in situations where I've been pretty isolated, and it makes me unhappy. I guess it could be kind of considered a weakness in that, you're not self-sufficient, but I think it mostly just motivates me to make connections with other people. Um, yeah.
I think to an extent I do depend on others, my family for sure. Um, it's not that they are responsible for my happiness or that they have to make me happy, but I feel joy and happiness around them. Um, so obviously they help me to be happy in that respect. Um, I I don't think that I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with acknowledging that someone or something gives you happiness. Um, what I'm always afraid of and cautious of is when it becomes abusive. When people see, whether it's a relationship or something in their life, that they see that as their only source of happiness. That without this person or without this thing, or without this substance, they can't be happy. And that unfortunately is destructive and sad to me because obviously even if I didn't have my family, I would find other ways to be happy. Or, for the drug addict, even if they don't have their substance, whether that is an actual drug like alcohol or a drug like shopping or whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
you'll find other ways to be happy. And so it's important, I think, to remember that.
It's challenging not to depend on knowing you have food and clean water and a roof or some kind of shelter. I think that factors in pretty big towards happiness. I think basic needs.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that I definitely depend really, really strongly on my family for happiness. I think that they are a huge support network and a huge, they're sort of my core community. And I think that without that, I would definitely be very lost. And I think that it would be very hard to regain any sense of normalness or happiness without that core.
Mm-hmm.
Or any one of them even. And I think that depending on other people for happiness is tricky because I think that part of me says you should be able to be whole within yourself and that you shouldn't need to rely on everybody around you to be able to feel okay. I think it's important to be a whole person, but I also think that you have relationships with everything in life. You have relationships with everything that meets your needs, I guess, is what I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And community and love is definitely a need. And I would say that I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I think there's a difference between having them be a part of your life and having them be your life. I think that's a really important distinction: codependency versus having them in your life.
Yeah.
But they don't have to be there every second.
Yeah.
I guess is part of how I would define that, and that you can have different segments of your life, and they're not necessarily in every single one, and that's okay.
Yeah.
To be able to be independent while still having this connection. So.
My immediate answer is that I depend upon myself for my own happiness. And that if I depend upon others for my own happiness, then it only goes so far. And I'd say that the times I've been happy, even if I've depended upon myself at certain, besides the occasional just random happy moment, the times when I've been happy, I've willed myself to be happy, or I've initiated something that would lead to me being more happy. But that still involves, that still has involved relating to other people. I was unhappy when I was, plenty of times, but when I was 15, and I was unhappy with a lot of things, and I started exercising, I started jogging, and when I started jogging, I started feeling healthier, I started looking healthier, and that changed the way that I related to people around me. So it all came back to how I related to other people. So I'd say that I depend on myself to make myself able to be, or more able to be happy around other people. But in terms of being happy by myself, even then, there's a certain calm that comes with knowing that I could be happy if I went out in a social setting. So I don't know how independent that really is, but that's what I've observed so far.